to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, Psychic, all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you've had an absolutely fantastic week wherever you are in this planet of ours. I mean, you know, the world's still interesting, isn't it? I mean, with the war going on in Ukraine, and the pictures are absolutely beyond devastating. My heart goes out to them, and so do my prayers. So let's get the show on the road. Today's card of the week is the Lover's card. Now, this is one of these very ambiguous cards because all the years I've been teaching, people see this card and all of a sudden they light up thinking, oh, you beauty, I'm going to get a new lover. And when I used to ask the question, okay, hands up, who wants a new lover this week? They'd all sit there dumbfounded. And that's what I'd say to them, well, you know, you've all got excited with the potential of a possibility of a new lover, but when I ask the question, oh, no, you don't really want that. So it doesn't always mean a love affair. Unless you are single and seeking a new romantic partner, then that interpretation will be applicable to you. But for the rest of us, it can be romance building again within a marriage or a relationship. Sometimes it just represents relatives, that we're going to be spending some time with people that we have a loving connection with. It can be a loving relationship we share with friends. Now, we can have a loving relationship with friends that has no sexual connotation whatsoever. So this is just a card of being in a zone of being in a very good humour, enjoying some very loving, positive energy amongst people. Now, whether that's your partner, whether that's in your marriage, whether it's with your relatives, or whether it's just being in a group of people that you have a connection with and you feel the love. And it's a really beautiful, loving card to have around at the moment. And particularly with so much turmoil in the world, I was really quite excited when I pulled this card before the show because I thought the world could do with a lot more love at the moment. You know, we need a lot more love to go around to make things, I think, a little bit happier and to bring a smile to people's face. Now, you know, it's been a very, very big week astrologically. We had a configuration in the sky that only happens once in 1,000 years, and I'm not going to talk about that because it really sort of, on an astrological level, yes, it's important on a scientific level, but on an astrological level, it really doesn't change what the energy of the planets are sharing with us as they're transiting through the zodiac. It doesn't change that configuration or that energy. So I'm going to use the time that I have allocated for astrology in the way that I do every other week. And for those of you that are familiar with the show, well, now I have a little segment each week called, you know, Trip Around the Universe, where we have a look at where the planets are sitting for this week. It's not a breakdown of the 12 zodiac signs. We don't have time for that. But when I talk about something being in an energy, yes, if you are that particular star sign, then yes, of course, it will be more amplified for you. But the information that I'm giving and sharing with you is for each and every one of us, regardless of what your sun sign energy is. So the sun has just moved into Taurus. So this is the time of the year where things start to slow down marginally. We've had the beginning of the new astrological year with the sun being in Aries and everything was amped and pumped and we were all in the fast lane and everybody wanted to get everything done yesterday. Well, now we're going to take a bit of a breath. We're going to slow down a little bit. We're going to look at the things that are important to us in our lives. Now, whether that's our finances, whether it's our family, whether it's just sort of looking around our home, looking to see whether we need to improve anything, is there any changes that we need to make? And sometimes it's just getting more back into the kitchen, looking at ways that we can sort of start to create some fast, nutritious meals in these very, very busy times. You know, if we come across a couple of new recipes that can enable us to get a hearty meal on the table quickly at the end of our busy days. So there's many connotations to the Taurus energy. But the sun in Taurus is a time of the year where we all want to sort of catch our breath a little bit more and say, oh, good, I can breathe now. You know, I can slow down just that little bit and I've got time to look at the things that are important to me and the things that make me smile. And that's why I said sometimes we're focusing on our home and, you know, making our environment at home more beautiful or more comfortable. You know, it's a time of the year where we sort of start to look at the couch and think, gee, that's seen better days. Maybe I better go couch shopping or get some new cushions, or I just want to freshen the place up a little bit. So don't be surprised if your thoughts are going towards food and comfort at the moment, because that's what the Taurus energy is about. The sun in Taurus is actually holding hands or conjunct the planet Uranus. Now, the planet Uranus is the planet of the unusual and the unexpected. So when they're sitting together here holding hands like this, even though the sun's in Taurus, we've still got to expect that there may be some unexpected or unusual things that could catch us a little bit off guard. Uranus is not necessarily a negative planet. It's a planet that says it's going to be sudden, like the bolt of lightning out of nowhere. It can be good or it can be bad, or it can be everything in between. So it's not necessarily saying that bad things are happening, and it's not saying good things are happening. It's just saying be aware that some things could take you by surprise or take you out of your comfort zone. Now, Uranus is also conjunct or holding, no, it's not. So we've got those two. We've got the North Node, which is known as one of the Arabian parts or the Moon's North Node. Now, this is where we're aspiring to achieve the very highest point that we can in our lives. Now, the North Node is actually conjunct Mercury. So I find this is very interesting at the moment in Taurus, and particularly for any Taurians that may need to sort of make a speech or put a podcast out there or go and sort of talk to the boss for a raise or have some sort of important conversation that you need to have with somebody and you need to make sure that they're listening. This is the time when you need to make sure that you're at your articulate best, because you really are under the spotlight at the moment, with the North Node sort of saying this is where we want to show people in general that this is the best person I am. This is what I've got to say is the very, very best of me. So if you're out to try and impress somebody with a conversation or making a pitch or doing a podcast, make sure that you've really done your research, you've got your words correct, you've got it memorized, you know exactly what you want to say, and you want to come across as confident as you possibly can, because at this time people are really, really taking more notice of you than they would be at any other time and really putting you under the microscope. So you want to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward. So we still have a number of planets sitting in Pisces. So we've got the main focus at the moment is on Taurus and it's on Pisces. Now, the planets that are sitting in Pisces, we've got Venus conjunct holding hands Neptune. Now, Venus, the planet of love and affection, or the things that we love to do. Now, anytime when a planet is sitting in Pisces, I always term this very affectionately as the dustbin cycle. It's where we're ready to release a number of things, but at the same time, I like to look at it as having the power of the other preceding 11 zodiac signs before it. And it's like we've got this amazing plethora of information and power and opportunities that all come together. And then it's time for us to sort of look at it, deal with it, and then sort of put it away. Either we release it and say that job is now complete, or we put it away in a box and say, okay, that's next year or that's next week or whatever. But we've got a completion in some sort of way. We're sort of almost come to the end in a sense, which is good. We need to be able to do that. So how is Venus affected here in Pisces? Well, Venus sitting in Pisces says, okay, let's get our creative hats out of the closet. It's time for us to really become creative, look at the things that give us pleasure, look at the things that really put a smile on our dial. Is it music? Is it the arts? Is it spending time with people that we enjoy their company? Or is it just losing ourselves in a good film or a good book? Whatever it might be, it's time to sort of soak up that creative energy. Now, Venus is actually conjunct or holding hands with Neptune, and Neptune actually rules Pisces. So the Neptunian planet here, or Neptune here, is asking us again to sort of look at the creative side of life. But Neptune can also be the planet of illusion or delusion. And I hear you say, but why do we call it delusion? Well, illusions and delusions are things that aren't tangible, are things that we might manifest in our mind, or the things that we aspire to, or things we don't want to aspire to in our lives. So we've got to be able to create a fog where we can create things that, whether it's positive or negative, that we can lose ourselves in and sort of try and find some sort of answers, get some sort of semblance in our life. So I don't look at it as Neptune as being negative. I look at this as a very positive planet, because it allows us that little bit of time to just sort of daydream a little bit, to wander in our mind, to allow ourselves to look at the potential for other solutions to the day-to-day problems that we might be facing. So if you've got Venus conjunct this, Venus is telling you, look for a solution that's going to make you happy. Look for the better side of life. Look at for the, not necessarily the easier way, but the way that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. It's going to make you smile more. And it might not always be something that suits someone else, but it's got to suit you, and that's all that matters. At the end of the day, we've got to be giving ourselves a little bit of pleasure, I think, in life, that we've got to be able to bring something back to us that makes us smile. Now, Neptune is also conjunct or holding hands, another Arabian part, which is known as the part of fortune. Now, this is not where we go to the end of the rainbow and find the pot of gold. This is where we find the fortune or the strength or the best of us inside us. So if we've got Venus asking us to sort of, look for something that's going to put a smile on our face. We've got Neptune allowing us to daydream a little bit, to be a little bit childish in a sense, to sort of let our mind wander and fantasize at how we would like things. Then we've got the part of fortune saying, okay, now let's turn this into the very, very, very best that you can be. Is there something here that can help you, that can help bring more clarity into your life, that can make you feel better about yourself? Is there things like that that you've been aspiring to do? And then the final planet that's holding hands with this trio of planets is Jupiter. Pardon me. The planet of opportunity and expansion, pardon me, is around us. Sorry about that. Is asking us to expand what we're looking for in our lives. And it's, pardon me, asking us to look for something very different in our lives to what we have. So we need to be able to look at things and say to ourselves, what is it that we're searching for? What is it that we're looking for in our lives? What is it that we're trying to achieve, in as much as we're trying to sort of search for something that is going to give us the opportunity to be able to bring, to bring balance in our lives and to be able to sort of sort out the things that we want to bring into our lives. It's an opportunity here where we can rewrite our own history, in a sense, is what is going to bring us the greatest sense of satisfaction in our lives. We have the opportunity here with Venus and Neptune and the part of fortune to really expand out our consciousness and to really achieve the things in life that we want to achieve. And that's a really positive time. So please don't waste this configuration of energy that's going on in your life at the moment, because it is there to allow you to be able to really bring some long-held dreams, I think, to fruition, or to get them off the ground and to start them happening again. We've still got Saturn sitting in Aquarius along with Mars, so it's sort of like Saturn's the father figure, the planet of discipline, is trying to say to Mars, sort of calm down, stop being such a bully, stop sort of, I think sending Russia into Ukraine, tell them to go home and play in their own sandbox, and let's just sort of get back to some sort of normality. While it's still sitting in Aquarius, this to me means that we still can hope for a sudden, unusual sort of solution, something that could come out of nowhere. So fingers crossed that will happen. And finally, we have Pluto still sitting in Capricorn, been there since 2008. We'll be there till 2024. Pluto's asking us to look at collectively as a globe a different way of handling things, whether that be climate change, whether it be how governments are handling situations, how we've handled the pandemic as we start to come out the other side of the pandemic, hopefully. What have we learnt? What are the lessons that we've learnt from this? What can we take forward to make the world a better place? So I hope that's helped you understand a little bit more about what's happening around the universe. And I do apologise for my coughing attack. It's just one of those things that randomly happened. And, these happen from time to time when you're doing a live show. So we're going to talk with Sharon in Halifax in Nova Scotia, Canada. Are you there, Sharon?
Yes, I am.
Do you have a question I can work with, please, Sharon?
Pardon?
Do you have a question I can answer for you?
What kind of questions are you answering today?
Well, anything as long as it's not asking me to contact somebody on the other side, because we have such a limited amount of time on the show that I can't always guarantee that. But if you've got a question about your life or...
My love life.
Okay. So no one in particular you want me to look at? If there is, just their first initial would be great.
C.
B. Okay. All right. Let me tune into that person for you. Interesting, because the first thing that they're showing me, it's almost like we had this really busy sort of exciting sort of start to the relationship, and then it was like we came to a sudden stop, and then we got a little bit of a go on again, and then we had another stop. Are we in another one of those pauses at the moment with the relationship?
I'm going to meet him, but yes, we did talk and it stopped, and we talked and it stopped, but now this time it's going to happen. We're going to meet.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Well, that's good. Because to me, I was just sort of seeing we were in this sort of pause energy, and then I was going to say it's going to start to rev up again, but I felt it was going to be different this time. So that makes sense. If you're finally going to get to meet each other in person, then this is going to add a whole new dimension to the connection. Look, I don't think either one of you are going to be disappointed with the face-to-face meeting. I think both of you are going to be very nervous, but at the same time, I think once we get over that initial nervousness, which you wouldn't be human if you didn't feel that, it's going to be really interesting that how quickly you both sort of exhale and feel very comfortable with each other. Even though I know you've been chatting and things like that, it's not the same as meeting someone in person. And when you do that and you really connect energetic-wise, you realise then that the two of you feel like as if you've known each other forever. It's been sort of like, this is just so natural. This has just been meant to be. And that's a good sign to me, because what that means is that you haven't misinterpreted anything by just text messages and communication, over a chat situation, which is sometimes hard to really sort of know whether the energy that we're connecting is right. It's when you see somebody in the flesh that we don't have any sort of barriers there. Is nothing for us to hide behind. We can't put a mask on them. It's what we see is what we get. And that's why I think it's so important that once you get over the nerves of the two of you meeting for the first time, that the connection is so strong, so powerful, and it's like you've known each other forever. And it's sort of, you hear people say, I met somebody last week and it's like I've known them all my life. How can that be? Well, that's going to be this situation for you. I really like him. I think he's a nice man. I think he's walked a very long, hard path to get to you. And I'm not saying you've had an easy life either. I think you've both had a life that nobody would be envious of, with the things that you've both experienced and had to go through and get through in your life. It hasn't been an easy time for either one of you, but to finally find somebody that's your other half, somebody that you can be yourself with, I think is absolutely amazing. I just feel, Sharon, that this is going to go on to become a really serious, committed relationship where you bring each other such joy, and that's really nice to see.
Thank you. That's what I was thinking. Oh my gosh, I feel that. I feel that once we're together, everything is just going to be so completely different.
Oh, it will be. And that's what I'm saying. It's just sort of like, you've got to meet in person to sort of, to feel that, like the first 10 minutes might be awkward, but after that, it's almost like a blow up toy that, you pull the cord out of it and the air escapes and it sort of relaxes. Well, that's how you two are like to me, like you get over that initial part and you relax, and it's just so beautiful.
Oh my God.
It's one of the nicest relationships I've seen in a very, very long time, Sharon.
Pardon?
I said it's one of the nicest relationships I've seen in a very long time.
Good. I feel that. I was just so unsure. I was so unsure before, but now I feel like I'm on top of the world and I can't wait. And I had to ask just to make sure, like, I wasn't wrong.
Oh, absolutely. And, and I'm pleased you did ask, because, you need to make sure that you're not just getting caught up in the emotion of the excitement of the potential of a relationship like a schoolgirl does. But this is not that. This is much, much more mature, more grown up, a more deeper connection between the two of you. It's just an absolutely amazing connection. I mean, as I said, you both walked a long, hard path to find each other, and it's just so nice now to see that you will bring such joy to each other, and that's the most beautiful part of this, Sharon.
Yes, it is. It is. Thank you so much.
Well, I wish you well. I wish you well with the meeting of the new man. You're very welcome, sweetie. You're going to talk with Jenny now in Bayville in New Jersey in the US. Are you there, Jenny?
Yes, hi.
Hi, Jenny. Do you have a question I can work with, sweetie?
Yes, so I am starting a new adventure, new restaurant I'm opening. I'm starting a new not a new relationship, but my relationship went to the next level. We're getting very serious. Just wondering if that's all good things are coming together or not.
Yeah, no, I feel that this relationship you're in, it's not been the easiest one, but I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it's been the hardest one either. It's like the hurdles we had to overcome as a couple, I think were necessary because it strengthened it. You know, you really saw each other at your worst and your best all rolled into one. So that's maybe not a bad thing. It was like we got all the surprises or things out of the road quickly so that we could get on to other areas. And the fact that you're starting a new business at the same time as this, you didn't need any other distractions from your personal life overflowing into your business life and vice versa. So I feel very comfortable on both levels. The restaurant side of things, I think, is going to grow quickly, and I think it's going to be consistent, and it's going to be sort of everything that you imagined it could be and more. It's going to become like an institution in the local area. It's the place that everybody wants to go to, and that's good. And you seem to have the balance right of the right type of menu, the right pricing and the right atmosphere, the right everything. Everybody seems to want to sort of congregate there, so that's good. It doesn't mean that you don't do the work, that you don't keep putting the effort in and making sure you keep the momentum going. You know, anything you've got to keep freshening up all the time. But then when I look at the relationship, it's like it's going to move very quickly into the next level, you know, within a couple of months. It's sort of like going from sort of being exclusive dating to sort of talking about a future together and starting to make real definite plans for that. So things in your life, Jenny, are really moving at a fast pace, are they not?
Yes.
But it's good,
Very
though. I
fast.
think you're ready for it. You're ready for it. You
Yeah,
know, it's
I want it.
not a surprise.
I would love it.
Yeah, you're ready. You're ready to go. You know, like your bags are packed, let's go. You know, I'm ready. I'm ready for everything that comes towards me. What else happened in this last 12 months without you giving all our viewers too much detail? But was there a number of endings and things that you had to close off?
Yeah, so I kind of was in a weird relationship before him. And that was kind of like, I ended with somebody else. And then we quickly,
right.
And it was someone he knew, we mutually know, not like a close friend, but someone in our circle. So it wasn't the easiest start off.
Yeah,
and
but that previous relationship, that's only numbers on a piece of paper. I don't ever look at age as being a barrier or a hindrance in a relationship one way or the other. It's how you find each other. The other's just immaterial. It's numbers on a piece of paper. But that previous relationship seemed to be holding you back on many, many levels, not just on a relationship level, but it was almost like I felt you were being strangled, you know, like strangled as in not being able to move and do and be free enough to get your life moving forward the way you wanted to. It was like you were just so tied up, so bound that you couldn't breathe. And so by letting that go and moving away from that has enabled the world to sort of open up to you. And that's really good, Jenny.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I feel that. I feel like it's been lighter.
Oh, absolutely. But it would have taken an almighty effort to be able to extricate yourself from that previous situation. It wasn't an easy thing because he wasn't an easy person.
Yeah, no, he was not.
And he seemed to be able to, you could get yourself strong emotionally and clear in the head and know what you were going to do and go and present that to him. And then all of a sudden, it was like you were like a little girl again and you had no power. That was I think the scary part of that relationship, that how he was able to take that power away from you in a moment's notice. And that was the part that you had to really strengthen up. And that took an almighty amount of energy and courage and trying to work through it and look at what the potential outcomes could have been before you put them in motion. So I want to, congratulate you, because a lot of people would have given up and surrendered to this because it was all too hard. But you didn't. You kept going.
Very hard.
You knew you had to come out the other side, didn't you? You knew you had to do that for yourself.
Yeah. Yes, I did. I definitely every day was like, you have to do this. And he always would
Yes.
manipulate his way back.
Oh,
Through
always,
people
yeah. And he was a
around me,
master at
always.
that. Yeah, but he was a
Still
master at
trying
that.
any chance he can.
No, he can't. But the thing that sort of stood out to me at the most was when he was at his strength, if you want to put it that way, of manipulation. He could take you from being very strong back to being like a 4-year-old girl where you were powerless.
Yeah.
And that's scary that somebody can have that sort of power over you that, no matter what you tried to do, he was able to take you back there quickly. And that's what you had to break. You had to break that cycle. So congratulations, you did a really, really good job of
Well, thank
building
you.
up a strength inside you that couldn't be broken. And that takes a lot of courage.
It did. It did. I had to dig deep for that one.
Yeah, and you'll be an inspiration to other people, even though you're not necessarily going to broadcast your story, but just even people in your own inner circle that saw how you changed and how you didn't give up and how you kept fighting and going was what made them strong too. So congratulations, Jenny, and I wish you well. So we've come to the end of the show again. The show does go very quickly. Before we wrap up this week, I just want to share with you, this week in Australia was known as Anzac Day. It's our remembrance day for our soldiers that fought in World War II with the Australians and the New Zealand's army. And for many, many people, it was a very sombre service this year because, as everybody else around the world, we had 2 years of COVID where we weren't able to gather and commemorate and remember the people that have fallen. For me, yes, it's a very personal day. I have family that I lost in wars and battles overseas, and it's always a very sombre time. So this week I'd like to leave you with a song for our diggers here in Australia and New Zealand, and for anybody that's lost anybody around the world, but particularly for our Australians. Song by the late Peter Allen, and many of you will know Peter Allen. He was very successful in the US and he was married to Liza Minnelli, but he was an Australian and he did come from a little country town called Tenterfield. And he wrote a very, very beautiful song, which I think is apt for this particular time of the year, called Tenterfield Saddler. So if you get a chance, Google it, listen to the words of the song. I think it depicts Australia very, very well. But very importantly, it shares with you another side of Peter Allen, the one and only, the amazing Peter Allen, who did bring such joy to our lives. And for anybody that's having a hard time this week, my heart goes out to you, and I hope next week's better for you. So until then, bye for now.